In this video, I will show you how I design a brand from scratch, step by step. And this is a two-part series, and in part one, we'll focus on branding, logo, colors, illustration, tone of voice, and more. And in part two, I will show you how I design the brand's website from scratch. I love starting new projects with books, especially design books. There is something special about sitting down, flipping through pages, and discovering unexpected ideas that feel grounding. It gives me that quiet reassurance that I'm doing my part to come up with something special. The time spent exploring books is never wasted. For me, creating a brand is like building a puzzle. You are bringing together all these different pieces to create something meaningful. For this brand, I wanted to create something playful and fun, but still minimal. One of my biggest inspirations when it comes to illustration is Walt Disney. You will notice some subtle Disney-inspired touches in this brand. I'm also very inspired by retro Japanese streetwear, especially brands like Babe, which is one of my favorites of all time. Alright, so after doing some research and then exploring different concepts and ideas, I like to create the mood board. And this mood board is very interesting because we have some more natural tones like this brown, right? And then this brown and, like these sort of beige from the dunes. And these are typical colors that you will see in a coffee brand, right? And then we can see here, different tones of blue, right? Royal blue. And I selected these colors because I want to basically break from the basic and the known and make a strong statement, right? Because usually when you think about coffee, you think about brown and then, maybe some beige because of the foam or something like that, but you don't think about royal blue. And I wanted to mix futurism with traditionalism as well, right? And it's represented in these images we can see right here. And here we can see an image of Simba, and I added this here in the mood board because when I was a kid, The Lion King was my favorite Disney movie. And the entire story of how he became depressed after losing his father, and then he had to fight really to become a king, right? So the story is very, very compelling, very strong. And that's the type of vibe or mood I want to represent in this coffee brand. Because when you see this cute little lion right here, but then everything he had to go through in order to become a king, it's truly remarkable. These colors right here are not the final brand colors, okay? These are some colors I've added here for reference only, all right? And these colors right here at the bottom are some of the colors that I will use for the brand, but they are not final, okay? I will probably fine tune them as the project advances. A lot of people use tablets to create their illustrations, and that's great, but I still love starting with pencil and paper. There is something special about the feeling of the pencil gliding on paper. It's like more organic, more pure. And I've tried drawing on an iPad before, and while it's amazing on its own way, nothing beats the simplicity of pencil on paper. Once the sketch feels right, I outline it using a 0.4 marker like this one. And then I scan it using Dropbox scan feature on my phone and send it to my computer. And then I use Adobe Illustrator to vectorize the outline. And then once the outline is done, I jump into Photoshop to add the color layers. Now let's sketch the logo. For this one, I wanted to create something imperfect, playful, and childlike. Something that feels alive and full of character. I used my own handwriting as the base and I played around with the form a little bit, especially stretching the ends of some letters to give it a unique rhythm. There is even a little bit of a subtle inspiration from Arabic letter forms in the curves and extensions. The first typeface I will use is Reclam, all right, it's this one right here, and I think it's very elegant and it fits very well with the aesthetic I'm going after. And when we scroll down, we can also see here the typeface in use, and I believe it's a very elegant typeface. As you can see here, this typeface is not free, all right, it costs $20 for the desktop version, and then we also have the web version, which you know, the price increases depending on the monthly page views, but I will select up to 10K, okay, and then the price is also $20, so a total of $40 for both. If you are a beginner, you can use free typefaces, but if you want to really elevate your designs, I recommend you to browse and explore premium ones. So I will purchase this typeface and I will use it for all the display text, all right? So every time I use a very large font, I will use this typeface. The other typeface I will use is this one called KH and this sans serif font is very elegant as well and very simple, and I will use it for body text and smaller titles. This typeface is more expensive. It costs $173, right, for the desktop version and the web version. But I already have the license for both, so I'm good. I always recommend downloading the trial versions of the premium typefaces you are considering, so you can test how they work together before purchasing. And this is very important. Always read the license. Alright, so I will install the Reclam typeface, and the next thing I will do is design the style guide. Alright, so for the style guide, I like to use this template that I created from scratch, and you can also have access to it and use it whenever you want. You can find the link in the description. Alright, so here we have the logo colors, and this is super important. I like to always show the logo on a very light background and also on a darker one to see the contrast clearly. As you can see, the logo is fun, playful, and it's actually based on my own script. Like I mentioned earlier, I love creating logos using my handwriting. It makes them feel unique and it gives them the potential to become iconic, as opposed to just grabbing a font and editing it a little bit. And that approach is totally valid, right? But for this brand, I wanted to create something more childlike and fun. It's definitely a riskier logo in terms of broad appeal, right? But honestly, art is about taking risks. It's about not doing the same thing everyone else is doing. And this logo visually has also a deeper meaning, and I will explain it later. And when I say not doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, I'm not saying that script logos are new, but fewer and fewer brands use them these days. Most stick to the safe route, and many of them end up looking kind of the same. Okay, now the name. Sabali means patience in Bambara, which is an African language spoken in Mali and a few other West African countries. Usually coffee is associated with fast-paced mornings, energy boost, go, 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 go. But with this brand, I wanted to highlight the slower side, the feeling of preparing and drinking a warm cup of coffee in the morning. You know, looking at the window, calm, present. Sabali is also the name of one of my cats, and she's incredibly calm and elegant. And I felt like the name carried both a personal meaning and also a beautiful energy for the brand. Next, we can see the brand colors, and these are the colors that we'll use across all brand assets, digital and print. Usually, I also add Pantone references when print is involved, and that's super important because digital colors can shift and look different when printed, so Pantone gives you that consistency. But since this is just a concept project, I didn't add the Pantone colors here. Here we've got the logo clear space, and this is essential because we want to make sure that the logo is always placed correctly and feels balanced. Whether it's on a website, packaging, or social media, it needs room to breathe. And now we have the logo don'ts, another key thing to look out for. When you design a logo, it's not just about how it looks, it's also about how people will use it. If clients or third parties don't know how to use it properly, the logo gets distorted or misused, and then it starts losing its impact. Over here, we've got the main background colors and the neutrals. And here's another important one, color contrast, because we have to make sure that everything is readable and accessible. Accessibility is a crucial part of a good UX. Next, we have typography, and we are using Reclam and KH-Steka. Reclam is for headlines and display, and KH-Steka is for body text. The pairing feels clean and elegant. Branding isn't just a logo or a nice color palette, alright? It's also about the tone of voice, delivery, customer experience, the way you write, the way you speak. It's basically the whole personality. For this brand, I wanted to keep things light and fun with a little wink of humor. And that tone is going to show up in the copy, in the visuals, and all that. Now, this section, brand in use, is one of my favorites. This is where the brand really comes to life. The idea is to make the brand feel tangible by using mockups and polished visuals. Right now it's empty, but in the next step I will show you how I build that out using mockups and turn it into something beautiful. And here we've got the illustration style, and this was obviously very fun to make. I really love creating brand mascots. Brands used to do this all the time, but with the rise of minimalism, which for the record I absolutely love, brands today tend to be a lot more conservative, in terms of imagery, except for a few that land in the hands of really amazing design studios. With this illustration, I wanted to pay tribute to that classic charm. It's kind of a nod to Walt Disney and also inspired by retro Japanese streetwear like Babe and early Stussy. Let's briefly explore the meaning behind the logo. If I zoom out, you might notice something special. The logo placed on her head becomes a crown. I call my cat Queen Sabali, and I wanted the logo to reflect her poise, calmness, and quiet confidence, so I hid a crown in the design as a tribute, basically. That's the deeper meaning behind the logo, and it's not just playful or cute, it's like personal. And like all good design, it rewards the people who take a moment to really look. It's also a quiet declaration of intention. We are not here to just be another coffee brand, right? We are here to become the best coffee brand in the world. The mission statement is one of those things that gets to live on forever. A brand might fade, like all living things do, but the positive impact it creates never dies. Sabali's mission is very clear: to offer world-class coffee through fair trade while uplifting West African farmers by investing in education, sustainability, and community growth. But more than that, it's the power of patience, not just in how coffee is grown, but in how values are passed on. I've added the pictures that represent the brand in use, and it's where the visual identity leaves the digital world and it becomes real. The goal here is to make the brand feel tangible, something you can hold, wear, see on the street, or order from behind a counter. You can see how the illustration, the logo, and the tone all come together on different touch points. Whether it's a coffee cup, an art pen, a t-shirt, a shop window, or a coffee machine. This is where design becomes experience. It's one thing to have a nice logo on a slide, but when you see it printed on real objects and worn by real people, that's when a brand starts to live. This part is called logo iconicism, and it's a concept I use when I show a logo to a client. It's where I ask a simple but powerful question. Does this logo have the potential to become iconic? Think of the brands we all instantly recognize, like Nike, Disney, Chanel, the Olympics. These logos are more than graphics, right? They are part of culture. You could see them with no words, no context, and still know exactly what they stand for. With this brand, I wanted to aim the same level of timelessness. The logo is handwritten, imperfect, playful, but it has character. It feels human, right? And when something feels human, it's easier to remember. This isn't about copying anyone. It's about daring to create something that could one day live among the greats. That's what I mean by iconicism.